to WROL Broadcast. I am Hate Mail. With me today we have Kage. And
Coughing Kage.
Yeah, Coughing Kage. And special guest, Mr. Zubaz.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And Skype has been having issues off and on, so there's a good chance we're going to have more than a little bit of feedback or problems because that just has been the case all day with the entire world on Skype. So we'll do our best to get by with it. But on another note, we are doing the meta report today to talk about Aqualad, who Mr. Zubaz is pretty high on. I noticed Loot and a few others have not been as keen on him as his kit says. Based on your videos, Mr. Zubaz, I kind of like him. But before we get into Aqualad, let's get into a little bit of just where you when you started playing DCL and just a little bit of your background before we start.
Sure. I actually started, I think we're probably about 2 years ago now. It was actually the Aquaman month. The first time that it was Aquaman debuted, it was Aquaman, Siren, and Mera all came in at the same time, and playing ever since. Just a comic book fan, kind of read about it on one of the message boards, kind of hinted like, hey, if you're looking to play with Aquaman in another new game, here's one that works. So this was the first time I've played kind of any sort of game this style, and just kind of stuck with it ever since.
So you're a pretty big Aquaman fan, huh?
I am. I grew up kind of right next to the beach, and so that was like a superhero that sort of felt, very close to home, basically. Sort of like, oh, hey, he could be out there. So super into Aquaman, Atlantis, kind of all the lore, all the mythology around that. Which obviously plays into probably why I'm a little bit biased on Aqualad this month. But yeah, he's definitely my favorite, and it's kind of led to a larger love affair with comics, but that's really where it started.
Cool. Well, I know with Aqualad, you've been pretty high on him, as we mentioned before, and he's super fast, 129 speed, which makes him the fastest blue. Is that correct?
That is correct. So he just outpaces Aquaman now. I think Aquaman might be 123, maybe. But Aquaman's slightly faster than Cheetah, and now Aqualad takes over both of them.
Now, is he a character? I've seen how potent he can be against Power Girl, even Wonder Girl, any of the strength up characters. And Arcus might be a little less just because he can do the buff immunity. But what teams are you finding him to pair best with, and kind of your overall thoughts on him as a whole?
Sure. So I do think he's a good character. I've been pairing him with 4 different leads, basically. Obviously the easiest one, the one that everybody's going to probably default to, is Lex, as they're defaulting to all over the meta. And just the beauty of him under Lex is he opens at 129 speed, faster than literally everybody other than a speedster. So he's faster than Robin, he's faster than Red Robin, Kaga, Iga, everybody other than Flash and his family. So you immediately open with the damage immunity. You've got damage immunity on one of your 4 allies, plus the overheal from Lex. So that's obviously going to be a really popular move that you're going to see in the next week during his alliance.
How is his heal on his
outside
2?
Of that, not good.
Yeah, I didn't
not
think it
good.
Was.
I would actually recommend saving your rings on that unless they change that or modify that going forward. But fully geared, fully level 80. Full rings, everything like that. That heal does almost nothing. And honestly, too, when you're talking about his order, that legendary point, you're talking about a 50% chance to double what is almost nothing to begin with. So that move is more about the damage immunity itself. It's not really about the heal. I think his passive heals are stronger than his active heal. It's something that maybe might save somebody from dying or something like that. But in general, not a great heal. It's really about the damage immunity, which is something that not a lot of tunes have. And to be able to apply it as the first move of the game, that's where it's effective. So I've been using it in several situations. Obviously, one, to trigger Lex, like I said. Two, you can use it on anybody that you think there's a chance that they might get one shot. So, on himself, if you're dealing with a bunch of reds on the other side, or, similarly, same vein is using it on somebody that might get. So when you were asking about other people that he works really well with, Emerald Archer is somebody that he does work well with, but because Emerald Archer has never had that rework, his stats are kind of lagging.
He still
He's dead
always
in
kills
one
somebody though
shot.
when I face him.
Yeah, but he is if he does his AOE to start the match and Arcus is on the other side, he's dead. That's without any strength ups or anything like that. But if you put your damage immunity on him before he does that, now he's protected.
I could see a little bit of use for that heal though, even though it's terrible. You could proc Starfire, or you can get a slight overheal for Bane or Shazam or somebody that needs it.
Well, so it doesn't overheal, which is brutal.
That's a bummer.
I was really hoping that the overheal you could use for Stripe, for Bane, for Beast Boy, really anybody that can benefit from that overheal, because all it would need would be those couple percentage points, but they did not give it an overheal. It's just a minor heal. Yeah. Okay. So that was that is definitely a downside.
Your internet?
We hear you, Kage, but I don't think you're hearing us.
Oh yeah, wow. Hold on.
I told you Skype's gonna have some issues today.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I lost both you guys for a bit. Okay.
Go ahead, Zubaz.
Yeah, so like I was saying, so it does not overheal, which is something people should definitely be aware of. Another reason why I'm saying not only is that something that you could save your rings on, but not really a great use of your legendary point. So that is unfortunate. I do hope maybe they reconsider that. Obviously, in probably about 16 months when he gets a rework, they'll maybe reconsider that. But for the time being, that move is just more about the damage immunity itself.
So what would you say would be his first legendary ability, if you were to take him?
So I like the one skill, the applying 3 bleeds right off the bat. You're talking about a character who starts as really just this kind of anti-strength up character or a strength down character, and all of a sudden he fits in every bleed comp that you've got. One question that I have fielded before, it's not one of those moves when you look at the legendary skill where it applies the bleeds first. So if you look at the Hydro Stomp and one of the upgraded skills is apply 3 additional strength down if the target is bleeding. Just taking the legendary that does not mean that he will automatically apply 5 strength downs any single time. The target does have to be bleeding before you can start doing those 5 strength downs. But that being said, because he's so fast, it's very easy to meet that. So, most of the time you've got bleeds all over the board. That's why I definitely recommend using him in bleed comps, because then all of a sudden you're doing 5 strength downs every single time. You're taking Power Girl and Wonder Girl out of the picture. If you talk about a double call assist from Constantine or something like that, all of a sudden Wonder Girl's got 10 or more strength downs on her. She's doing 0 damage. So that's where that becomes really effective. It is unfortunate that it's not, like Aquaman's stun, where it just checks if there's 3 bleeds and then it applies the stun. It is something that does check to see if there is a bleed first. But that is definitely my recommended first thing. Because he's so quick, it's a move that sometimes if I don't think his damage immunity is going to help in a certain situation, that's what I open with, is just simply his basic.
Now, I was really high on his 3, and I didn't realize until after you started using him that the apply 5 additional bleed if any additional bleed. So they have to have 6 strength ups before they'll apply the 5 bleeds. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's why I definitely recommend moving that towards the end of your list as well, because it's rare that I have seen it work. The characters that get that many strength ups, you're talking about Power Girl, you're talking about Arcus. Situation for Arcus is usually by the time he has that many, he also has the debuff immunity, so it's not going to help you there. And then for Power Girl, most of the time she is using her taunt. The AI uses her taunt to get that many strength ups, and they are immediately converted to the strength downs by his passive. So it's rare that when you're facing Power Girl that she has that many strength ups. So I'm really not sure what they were thinking with that particular legendary. I'm not sure who that was geared to, or I don't know if there's maybe somebody coming next month where strength ups is going to be like a thing that's a lot easier to come by. Hawkman! It absolutely debilitates Hawkman!
That's a shame because he's not
yeah.
that potent, but he's good.
Exactly. So that's, I don't know for certain, and I've been playing with him at L2 for most of the month. Now I'm at level 5 with him. I don't know that I've seen that particular skill trigger since I started using it.
As I wouldn't say real recent, but a more recent owl compared to some of them, did you buy enough packs to RB5 him is the question.
I did not buy enough packs to RB5 him. I do.
You
so
are
after
no
the
real owl.
I know. We're still an outlet, still working up towards it. But
You have a few
I think
RB5s though, don't you?
I do. Well, just one right now. I've got Beast Boy RB5. I have enough shards to take Vixen to RB5. But
Okay, that's the other one. I knew you
I
had another one.
just yeah, and I'm not 100% sold on doing that. I think I've got some other priorities before her.
You were so defendant
So
of it
I
now after. Now you're like, I don't
I
know.
know. So we'll see.
Sold out. This guy. Okay.
So what would we say his second legendary? Which one would you take?
Secondary, I do really like the legendary on his first passive, the High Legacy, the 50% chance to turn all bleeds into permanent bleeds.
Okay.
That has been something that has definitely I've used to really swing a match. I know that there are a lot of purgers out there. There's a lot of people that are pretty safe from these permanent type debuffs, but after a while they stack up, and it is hard to remove them. I think a lot of people are going to give an eye towards the 5th legendary, the applied damage immunity. If that teammate is under 30% health, the way that works, if that's confusing when you read that, it works like Brainiac's passive, but only if they're under that low health. So if you're talking about somebody who's kind of in the orange or red, and all of a sudden they're going up against somebody that might retaliate against them, it will save them in that instance, but it drops off immediately after.
So
Wow.
So it's
disappears
not
after
something that sticks around, right? That's why I compare it to the Brainiac situation, because it's there very, very briefly. It is something that, again, I wish they had done just even 2 turns on, but could be overpowered at that point. But I don't think so. I think there's so many ways to remove buffs at this point that I don't think it would have been overpowered.
So basically,
So I
at
do think
L2 is his sweet spot. You really just need his 1 and 4, and you're pretty much
I
good to
think
go.
so. Yeah, I really think at L2 he's effective. Now I've at L5 I've seen his damage is certainly has increased along with the power increase and everything like that. But it's those 2 alone, just they turn him into a different character. You're talking about, okay, he converts strength downs. He's a blue star girl, but now all of a sudden you're adding this bleed element that makes him fit into just the past year they have added so many bleeding characters that all of a sudden he becomes very, very effective in those comps.
Yeah, he does. He seems. I mean, I've been pretty high on him since I saw his kit.
Yeah,
Some of the things don't work the way I thought they would, which is a little disappointing. But I still think
right.
he's one of those characters that will fit into a lot of comps and be pretty good. So for legendary order to wrap this part up, 1 and 4 are the main two you want. I would
Yeah,
think 3 would probably be next on the list.
3 or 5.
Yeah.
The 5 is it's nice. It's something that you kind of fall back on. And I think a lot of people are going to ring that 5 heavily because I do like that skill as a passive. It's nice that it's there.
Okay.
Personally, I would say like 1, 4, 5, 3,
Okay.
2 is probably my recommendation.
Okay. That sounds about right. Kage, you have any additional thoughts on that one?
Yeah. A lot of people are asking if they should buy the pack. What do you think? What's your recommendation?
I think that's a call that you make after you see how you're doing in Siege too, because the only necessary legendaries are those first 2 that we mentioned, the 1 and the 4. You can get away with doing well with him without that many shards. I think with an eye towards the Siege, if you're doing well enough in there to really level him up, also keeping in mind that there's a very high probability that his shards will be available in the raid coming up this week too.
That is true.
Probably
But
get
do you need the
enough
gems? I mean,
to
granted,
get
we
him
just had
into a
those.
viable spot.
We did just have those amazing sales, but if you need the gems, you're
Right.
quarantined, you need to get some DCL
Spend some
time in,
money.
that might be worth it. But
Sure.
also balance that heavily with your financial situation because there's a good chance we're going into a deep, deep recession. So, you know, weigh the two: video games or
Yeah,
food.
absolutely. Right.
But that aside, which Atlantean do you want next in the game?
Which Atlantean do I want next in the game? I was surprised that they went with this version of Aqualad. I think Garth would have been the far more popular choice. Garth not only he fits better in terms of the lore that they've got going. This is a character that was really created for the Young Justice TV show. Has made very few appearances in the comics until recently. Um,
But
Whereas
that means he
Garth
probably has a bigger
is
fan
a Teen
base.
Titan. Yeah, that could be true. He's a very popular character.
Yeah, I mean,
Cal is
nobody
an
reads.
extremely popular character. He's one of the first really openly gay characters that they've had. He's also one of the few minority characters that they have pushed very hard in terms of skin color, sexuality, all that kind of stuff. So definitely a popular guy, and in the show, he is portrayed extremely well. He's considered to be a leader. I was actually slightly surprised that they didn't make him a leader. Not that they've ever really subscribed too much to the lore when they're doing that, but very good leader. Very popular guy in the show. But Aqualad, Garth, is the one that has been around since the 1950s, 1940s. Teen Titan, one of the original Teen Titans. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he is the only original Teen Titan not. So it was a little curious to see that. He is the one that was had a very limited appearance in the most recent season of Titans on DC Universe as well. So that's kind of where I would expect them to go. If I had, outside of that version of Aqualad, I think when you're looking at Under the Sea, he's not really an Atlantean, but I think King Shark would be amazing for this game as well.
Oh, I love that.
King Shark.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
I kind of want Dolphin in the game. That's just me.
Dolphin would be great. Dolphin's a great character. I think she definitely would fall in that sort of overpowered D-list character list that they would make. Like all of a sudden she would be like one of the highest intelligence characters in the game or something because she just isn't that well known. But she's been a part of the mythos for a long time too.
Cool. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap that up. And thanks for joining us, Mr. Zubaz and Kage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get that cough looked at. You and Lute's been hanging out.
Just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Lute's feeling under the weather. So
Yeah.
send him your cookies or whatever.
Yeah, send him some therapy.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Toilet paper. All right, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for listening to WROL Broadcast. If you like the show, consider becoming a Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/WRL Broadcast for awesome perks. We also wanted to wish Bizarro well and sad to see him leave. Also, his sugar baby, Tootitron, says bye as well.